IFS this question if we are imagining about the parts, or are the parts really there?
Hmm. But the thoughts in the mind, are they imaginary or are they real?
They are real.
Well, then the parts are also real. Because, like all this overthinking, is it real or is it imaginary?
Definitely real.
So, so the point is, whatever the mind can perceive, right? Whatever comes as a block between us and Krishna, in one sense, it's not real because everything in this material world is temporary and they don't really have like, it's not like eternal, it's not Satchidananda. So, in that way, are the parts Satchidananda? No. But they have, it's like thoughts, it's like our own desires, feelings, emotions. As real as those are, the parts are also real. But they are, see, it's like our organs, are they real? You can't see them, you cannot touch them, but they're part of us. So similarly, the parts, the word parts is very accurate. It's part of us, and they are as real as they can get. Hi, Krishna Lakshmita. Nice.
Hi, Krishna Mansi.
And then I was thinking also of Krishna, right? Like Krishna, parts and parcels. Mm, it is as real as it gets, and we're dealing with it. And like I say, even good parts, they are as good as we can come close to Krishna. And the difficult parts, they are an obstacle. So it's like the gaddas on the street, no? There are these holes in the street. Are they real? You could just put earth and sand and cover it, right? But it's still there, and if you trip and fall, we get hurt. Similarly, these parts, the more we allow them to take over, like you saw in the movie, the Inside Out, they do get control. They do take the keyboard and at times create a havoc. So you may wonder, but they are not real, but the impact they created is real. So for me, I mean, I'm a very skeptical person when it comes to philosophical things and all that. For me, the thing is, it doesn't matter how real, how not real this, as long as the system works and I can cross the obstacle and reach my goal. What is my goal? To be able to chant nicely, to be able to focus mind on productive things, to be able to be happy, to find that healing, to find, if it helps in this, great. If it doesn't help, then let me look for something else. So I'm not at all presenting IFS as the remedy, just like 12 steps. It helped me a lot. And until that time, that was the only thing till there I got there to that point. So now it's like, hey, IFS, let's use this tool. And maybe tomorrow we'll find something else and we'll use that also. That's called Yukta Vairagya. Means using whatever we find in service of Krishna and coming closer to Krishna. So I don't want to think too much about how real this is. I don't have to follow the founder of this as Acharya Prabhupada. I have already shelter. I have Krishna, I have Prabhupada, I have my Guru Maharaj. I'm not looking for shelter. I'm just trying to see if this is a tool I can use to heal myself. Just like these medicines, as long as they're vegetarian or something, we take them, right? When the doctor says, hey, take this antibiotic, you're going to get infected. So I feel a similar mood about it. Yeah.
This another thing that I had about the spiritual perspective of this. Does the self mean the super soul, or just our soul?
Oh, us, me, I, the soul, the self.
And just like Krishna's parts, we have our parts, and does our parts have parts?
Yeah, that's the idea of this IFS. again, there is like a whole discussion. I wanted to invite Conte Prabhu. He studied the whole book, the IFS book. I only studied halfway until it came to the, when it gets too detailed, I didn't study it. I studied half. But he's read the whole book, and we had a discussion. We had like a short meeting with another friend of mine and Conte Prabhu. He explained the whole concept of the self, and then we went a little bit into the theological perspective of the, because in this book you will read, he says the mind is not mono mind, it's not one, whereas in our Vedas many times the idea is like mono, the one mind is one. But then Kantya Prabhu is saying that according to Srimad Bhagavatam, we can kind of bring harmony to the fact that the mind has its own sattva, rajas, tamas, and therefore there are, like mind itself is sattva. You know that intelligence is passion, mind is sattva. So then, if when in the mixture of it, we do create emotions and thoughts and desires, which is in sattva, rajas, tamas. So in that sense, they are categories, there are parts to the mind, levels, right? Because mind itself is sattva, but then what is it that's creating the rest? Is the mixture of the modes. Yeah. What I wanted to share today was, this whole idea of the 12 steps. It really, like I said, I have meditations, I have prayers. I will share maybe in the group one by one also. Maybe today we can just discuss a little bit about step one, admitting powerlessness, right? That's like the whole step one. Like, I can't do this alone. And my ways are not working. The control, no, the control is illusion. Like I have control. So that's kind of pattern, that unmanageability that happens due to I want power. So that to understand that powerlessness is not weakness, but it's a courage towards healing. Because once I realized that, so with IFS, working, like how it's helped me a lot to integrate both 12 steps and IFS, to work with the parts that are feeling overwhelmed. Sometimes I figure out there is this part, it's stressed. How am I going to complete this project? It feels out of control. And then there are the firefighters that come and want to scroll and just space out. So there's that powerlessness. When I experience it, then I identify, like yesterday also, yesterday or today, I have this one part that's overwhelmed because I'm back in Puri and there was so much cleaning to be done and total powerlessness. Then I was identifying what are these parts. Sometimes it's one, sometimes it's a cluster of them. It's not just one. There are a few of them. And then I asked, what's happening? Why, like I wasn't able to eat. So many things were happening and I was checking with them. And then I asked, what's the issue? And they said, we're afraid of losing control. And then they were creating all this shame and guilt. And if you don't do this, this will happen and that will happen. And very real, very real imagery. And then I said, oh, step one, time for step one. Then I sat down. It's really, how do you say, common sense. I sat these parts down and first of all identified them. There were 3, 4 of them. One was disgust, one was fear, one was sense of anxiety, another was ambition. All of them were, but they were all feeling powerless in different ways. So there was like that pull, right? Then I sat them down, I had my own imagination. I have my own meditation hall in my mind. I sit them down, you sit here, and I have the whole setup because it's important to make them feel safe like this. Then I said, look, you don't have to do any of these things. One of the part really is like, really, I don't have to clean the kitchen? And then I said, you don't have to do it alone. You don't have to do it alone. It's okay. We will ask help. And then, of course, I pulled my poor husband into it. That's a different story. Then I said, you don't have to. And then I said, I am here. We will figure it out together. And then the one of that part really calmed down. It was really like, okay. It felt like, okay, I'm not alone. So that was a key. You are not alone. I'm here. So that taking that self, taking that control. Then was honesty and humility. That the hardest part, that powerlessness, step one, right? I had to speak honestly. Honesty, I said, a few days ago, we all decided that we are going to come here. We're going to do this. And of course, then one other part came up and I don't like this, I don't like that, and da 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 da. I said, okay, go on. What else do you not like? You give me a list. It's okay. I'll listen to you. So it was one thing that came up, popped to me about step one was the statement, be my own mentor. Be my own mentor. So when I look at these parts freaking out, look at them like somebody else, like your sister or your friend who's freaking out, right? And then you know that they don't need to freak out. It's okay. It's okay. We will manage this together. And even if we don't manage it, it's not the end of the world. So then the whole powerlessness thing of we don't have to do it together. Krishna will inspire us. Krishna will help us, like that. Okay. Any questions about this? That the thing of I am available to lead you. You're not alone, my dear parts. And yes, we are feeling powerless. Yes, we are feeling that we cannot have control over things. And then those are the parts that hold shame and make me do crazy things, like snap at people around me when I don't accept that powerlessness. No, like that. In a split second, the snapping can happen. And it happened also. Yesterday, I was like total snap.
Happened.
Actually,
This thing happened with
actually,
me yesterday. Yeah, go on.
you go for no problem.
So this thing happened with me yesterday. I was feeling very overwhelmed. I was having a very bad headache, and I was kind of like trying to calm myself down with identifying which part was not feeling okay, and then suddenly that part became so defensive, and it kind of like shooed me away. And I came out of the meditation and I started to listen some songs and all.
Yeah, that's a good idea. In fact, I started writing songs. I have some songs. Let me just I can stop the recording. So yeah, I was saying about the skeptical parts. They're really like, I'm not sure this thing is working. As soon as it comes to some point of then doubt and okay. And then the point is step one. Step one. This song is all about step one. Krishna, I'm powerless. I don't know how to soothe my skeptical parts. All I want is your unwavering truth. Please, Krishna, help me discern between doubt and wisdom. Now help me to surrender to the path of true knowledge. Because otherwise the parts will just say IFS doesn't work because it doesn't want to do the work, right? And then of course there is the part which doesn't want humility. And so I made this prayer, but you can make your own. That's my point. Like you can check who are who's loud, who's your loudest part. And then, and then there are stuck parts for me, the hesitant parts. And then I asked Krishna Giridhari because Krishna lifted the whole Govardhan, he can help me take small steps to go forward with faith. Because there is the part in me that wants to progress, that loves to do anything self-development. So I use that part to convince the other parts. Say, go, 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 convince them. So the point is using our own parts with the other in a calm way. But you be the leader. You be the leader. So you can recognize for yourself what is your parts and what is your thing. And this is another song I had. This one is Whispers of the Soul. You can also read that. It came as a result of my IFS work. One day, like I could hear, like my soul, there's whispers like slowly. And then when you listen to those whispers, then some strong parts will come and say, hey, you're stronger than your fear. we can work on this. Come on. So then that part was, I didn't even have to do anything. One part was talking to the other and consoling. And then together they started singing, asking Krishna, I want this other part wants this, but together all we want is to progress. We want to be happy. So then we kind of went more towards Krishna. It really sounds really weird when you say, what? The part is talking? Excuse me, who's talking? What's happening? It sounds so weird. But the truth is, there is this whispers. There are whispers inside. Something, right? Something is saying this. And I'm like wondering, who is this? What is happening? And then there is a part, like we often say, I feel jealous. It's not me. It's just one part of me. But then there is the other part that actually is happy, is actually blessing, and it's actually clear. And so it's so encouraging to let go, that releasing that negativity. And yeah, so this is another one. Like that, I have a few here. Another one is called Cry of the Soul. So sometimes the soul is crying and I never heard it for so long. So once I stop and I listen, it tells me things. It tells me what it wants. What it also wants Krishna. It wants. It's just that it it has its the again going to the steps thing, it just needs to be held softly and brought to Krishna softly. Yeah.
Yeah, I just wanted to say this thing. So, I had faced some setbacks right in my life, and then after that, my faith I feel has gone down a bit, and I just feel it's a bit hard to trust, to have faith and all.
That's a part. It's a part that feels abandoned, hurt, wounded, doesn't want to trust. Probably it's the exile. It just went inside, it just closed up, withdrawn, doesn't trust, and it's okay. You just have to tell that part it's okay. But then remember, there are other parts also. It's a whole big family. One thing I did, I can show you this is again, like I use AI a lot. I use AI for keeping track of my IFS. I keep track of my progress with IFS work through using AI images and all. So I just want to show you something just to give you like an idea of how you can also do it. It's cool. So one part of me, that's like my, how do you say, loudest part now. It's gone through its progress. It's not like that. So first I found her like that, like full, how do you, oops, I don't know how to share so it comes full screen. By the way, this is weeks of work, so don't expect, quickly pushing the parts to. And then when I first found this part, it was so like ambitious part and everything. So you can ask, sometimes the parts have names. You ask, what's your name? Sometimes it says, sometimes it doesn't have a name and you can name it. I do a lot of journaling, with these parts. I ask what's happening and then I write what this part is feeling, I write. And then I write as me and then I write as another part. It's been so dynamic for me, since I started IFS. My journals keep filling up more fast. So then this was so hard to get to the person. There was all the shield and everything. Then I had to keep talking, keep working on it, keep talking, keep talking. Then finally, it came to a point where I started discovering other aspects of it. Like one of the thing was I found that again it starts to show small. I want to know how to make it big so you can also see it big. Let me try now. So then it was like a journey. First it was like that, and then I wanted to know how is it like, can it be a little bit more human or whatever? And then I found this part, like this is the same part, by the way. See, it's like now showing the face. And this is like supposed to be me. Like, these are all imaginations, of course, it's just fun. I'm using AI to create what is in my mind, giving it prompts. So this part was the loudest part in me, always telling me we need to do this and we need to do that. And it's very accomplishment oriented. We need to write this book and we need to do this seminar. We need to do the Bhaktivedanta. We need to go and do a PhD, whatever, all kinds of to-do lists. It's always keeping, and its intention is to protect me, to keep me safe from failures and safe from whatever. Then eventually, right, the journey of this part kept going more and more and more feminine, kept going a little bit more. I think here is the next journey, how it became. I mean, I have, these are different parts, and right now the part is somewhere like this. She's like this. She's still into achievement and speed and instinct and all that, but
I'm not
that's,
able to see that.
you cannot see my screen. Oh yeah,
Still.
you can see. Yeah, you cannot see there. Okay. I mean, I keep like this is where she's now. She removed all the things, and she's like, okay, she's still the same personality, but I know the vulnerabilities. I know why she thinks like that. I know the history. I know why she became like that, always restless and wanting to do this and that. And she wants to protect different parts of me. So the point is, if you do the work, if you develop a relation, if you get to know, you'll know yourself so much more. And this is just for me to remember how they were and what they became and whatever. And this is another part. You see, she was covering herself and all that. And finally, I asked her, "What do you want?" And she said, "I want stillness." And what's your name? She said, "My name is Rashmi." By the way, that's something my parents called me when I was young. So she's like that. Different parts are uh, they have a story to say, to share. So I'm sharing this so that maybe you get inspired in your own way. For me, I have this creative mindset, so I like poetry. I like this images. No, use AI to create images. For you, it may be artwork. Like Aishwarya, you do all this artwork, drawing colors. I also do that in my journal. But this is something for me to remember what was the part and what's going on, like that. So right now she's like this, and I'm dealing with her, like talking to her. Every now and then she gets very unsatisfied with my performance. That's like, and then like you said, she also doesn't have so much faith in softer things. She's more like, no, we need to kind of be there. Yeah. And then of course there are these parts, right? Like exiles, smaller parts which are wounded, they want healing, completely different personalities there. This little one, I know that there's a 2-year-old me that just doesn't care about achievements and all that. It just loves music and she doesn't care. Yeah. So anyway, that's something to share. This is that meditation thing I was saying. I don't know if you can see my screen. I don't know if it doesn't show. Let me show you. I mean, again, like you see, for me it took weeks, but maybe for you it can take days to get where when I spoke to the parts, they were all giving different messages to me. And then at one point they gave me this words, freedom paths. And by the way, each letter has like a whole acronym. Freedom Paths is an acronym for the bigger thing for me. So this is Jagannath Puri Temple, and this is where I get the parts to come down and sit down and talk. For example, in my mind's world or whatever. Because otherwise, one of the parts, it's very it doesn't like, hey, why are you just talking to me like this on the street, you know? So come down, sit down. This is my sacred space or whatever. You can create your own like this, you know, something like this. I mean, this is just what AI can do. In my mind, it's a little bit more elaborate. Yeah, things like that. Things like that can help to keep track, you know, keep track of your internal journey. It's a journey. So it's not one thing. It's and then integrating and then see, yeah, sometimes they don't want to do what I need to do. They don't want to clean, they don't want to cook, they don't want to do things.
Which tool are you using to create the images, and is it paid?
ChatGPT.
ChatGPT only.
You just give a prompt and you say create an image or graphic, and then you give whatever is in your mind and it will create something. Sometimes once it comes, sometimes you have to try several times to get the. And then you can also print it out and stick it in your book. You can do stuff, whatever. You know, so there's no limit to journaling if you go in that direction. But again, don't complicate it. Make it how do you say, enjoyable, this recovery also. But it can be exhausting when you sit down with the part and you listen to the part. Sometimes it feels like, oh my God, you know, it's coming up in the beginning, it's so overwhelming. They come up with so many complaints, no? Whoa, you go like, oh my God, why am I listening to all this? May even start saying, I don't want to chant or I don't want to do this. All these things it may start saying. You just listen. And then there will be a fearful part. They'll say, no, no, don't listen. We get influenced. And we are there. I'm there. Kundalata is there. You can always connect and see what's happening. The thing is, you are the leader, the self, you.
But actually, sometimes like our good intentions, goes and destroys because of that extra thing. Like for example, over love or over caretaking. So like that also comes under parts.
You mean towards self or towards
No,
others?
no, no. Oh, self, not self, towards others.
Of course, there are parts. But then there may be, again, polarized parts. For example, there is one part that says, let me go give her more gifts, let me give more presents so that she likes me, right? And then there is another part that says, no, I don't like her, I don't want to do it, or something. Then you have to see, what is this part trying to achieve? Talk to that part. Why do you want to give another gift? Just yesterday you gave her one. Why do you want to give? You ask, and then that part says, because it will come to, I'm telling you the secret for me. If they're in passion and ignorance, it comes to a point, I want control. I want control. And if we develop a close relation with the parts, quickly they will reveal the intention. I mean, with me, some parts are super honest. Super honest. And then there is the part like me, I can see like there is somebody that I have polarized emotions. One emotion is I feel so much blessings for this person. I want to bless this. She's like a daughter to me. I want to be really generous. I give gifts or whatever. But then there is another part that says she doesn't respect me. She doesn't come and talk to me. So the entitlement, right? So it's towards the same person, but there are polarized. And then sometime I may want to do this and I want to do that. When I sit that part down, me as me, I want what? I want this person to be happy. I want to grow. I want this person to grow. No, everybody, sarve jana sukhino bhavantu. That's self. That's not a part. That's a self. But then the parts, one part wants to, like you said, over give, over share, over love. And then there is the other part which says, no, don't do that because she doesn't deserve it. She doesn't respect you enough. Both are parts. But me, I know, when you feel it strongly, like, no, I want to bless everyone. I don't want to have any enemies. That's self. That's Atma, right? And for the Atma, I don't need to give gifts. I don't need to hate someone. I don't need to over express love. For the self, it's all it needs is clarity, compassion, courage. You see all the C's, no? So it's enough to just sit down with that part and say, why would you like to connect with this person? What would you like? And that part will say, I want validation. I want that person to like me. Well, fair enough. Why would you like that person to like you? What will you get by being liked by that person? I will feel more sense of self-worth. Say, very good. So what can I do to make you feel self-worth without having to go and do something which is maybe extra, or like you said, over, no? Like over endeavor, atyahara, prayasascha. Oh, too much endeavor, too much. What can I do for you? And that part may say, um, tell me, tell me why something that I don't have was good for me. And then you sit that part down and say, yeah, you've done so well, even though you didn't have your parents' support, you did this study so well, you got your job. I am so proud of you. When you have that conversation, you'll see it's very powerful. And then you update that part. For example, recently I had to update my parts. There was a part that was thinking, oh, I didn't get to study that particular thing. And then it was stuck. I was feeling insecure. And then I had to sit that part down and update it. You know that you don't need to go through another 5 years of college and get that degree. You're already an astrologer. You already have a profession that is very fulfilling. You're not anymore the 13-year-old who needs to choose a subject in school. You're not that. And that part is like, oh, yeah. And you like your profession? I said, yeah. So you see, we're actually okay. And the part is like, oh, okay, okay, okay. I was just trying to protect you so you can have a better future. So then I told the part, like, I am in the future. I'm already 42. So it's okay. So you can update your parts. Did you find any parts that were thinking that it's still young? Both of you?
Yeah, I did one reflection and found out why I am getting so distracted. One of my firefighter parts, which was pulling me here and there and here and there, it was a small one. It showed me its face. It was so cute, and it was kind of like so naughty, and it just wanted to do things, and it wanted life to be interesting and all that.
So sweet. Yeah. And see, it means well. It's nice. It's a joyful part that wants to be happy. Just you have to like integrate it, bring that to life, like empower her so she can be more happy when you're sad or depressed or something. Bring her in.
So when I was doing it with Kundalata Mataji, I was reflecting about impulsive. That was like very young part, one of the young part. So I was thinking why and all those questions. And I realized I get triggered and I take impulsive decision when I don't have that sense of belonging, and also no acknowledgement even from like closest people, and things like that, especially the sense of belonging and getting acknowledged. That was the main thing.
Wow, that's powerful, right? And you can journal a lot around that. When do I get triggered? When does my sense of not feeling belong trigger? And then what does that part do? And what are the actions that later on makes me regret? All that you can journal so much around that. It's a big one. Sense of belonging. Looking for the sense of belonging is a big one. I mean, it may be a small part, and the part maybe just 5 years old. but it's an active part. And another thing was during like puja, like the you Aishwarya was mentioning about the distraction, and most of the time when I'm chanting, many of the parts are loitering all around. I'm trying to chant, but they are all around, running around like small kids. Huh? Then this was a big practice for me. I would say to some of the parts, not all, not all. Everybody doesn't want to come and sit down. To some of them, I said, "Hey, would you like to come join me and be chanting? You know, like can we do it together? Can we pray together?" So then one of the parts gave me the idea. So I have all these prayers, no? Little prayers for each of the part I created. And that was the way when during puja I say, "Come, you come." So at least during that time they come, and then I have a prayer for each of them. So they do that prayer. When they do that prayer, they're all there together. So that's the moment that I can get them all together, even if it's 5 minutes. Even if it's 5 minutes of them taking shelter of Krishna, because each one wants something. Somebody wants belonging, somebody wants validation, somebody wants joy and happiness. Each part wants something. So then I wrote down what each part wants, and I said, we'll create a prayer just for you. And then, of course, my creative part wants a poetry for each part. So there's like 3, 4 lines of poetry, prayer for each part, asking. And then every part has a specific deity. Somebody is into Giriraj, somebody is into Radha Krishna. So like every part has its own. Somebody is Narshinga, of course, Kujini, the one I showed you, the fiery one is Narshinga there. So you can get them to slowly come, sit with me. Let's chant a few mantras together. Come, let's go pray to the Lord. So you can kind of invite them, because usually they're so distracted. My God, all around, right? How many opportunities for distraction? Prabhuji is just giving class to somebody and he's saying so many opportunities for distraction. Music is also one of my ways to make all the parts just listen there and go there. Because it has to be intelligent also, poetic also, music also. Now I feel inspired to create more songs now that you're all also familiar
And
with.
also, like your meditation helps me so much. Like whenever I feel that allurements of Maya, fear to faith, and everything, it gives me. It's like I don't know. It's like affirmations, and it's so powerful. I can even feel it in body. Like I feel so much lighter, and I can breathe easier, and all like that.
Yeah, I think we should create some more for IFS when that'll be. And now that you are also on board in this journey, it inspires me more to create more, because so far it was just I was just creating for my parts, for myself, but now I feel like, oh, it will help others also. I'll send you that playlist in the group. I'll send in the group. Anything else? Any other question? Anything you'd like to share?
I have this actually doubt because people actually asked me once when I was asking one of my friend to join this AA steps. Myself and Aishwarya was doing, and I know that she was suffering. So actually, so she asked me this, and I didn't know, I didn't have the answer. So actually, they asked, how does like healing the self bring us closer to surrender of Krishna? Like normally we say like doing sadhana brings closer to Krishna, like that. How does that healing brings closer to Krishna?
Hmm.
But when doing this, actually, I can feel it because like every part we go and take them under the shelter of Krishna, so I can feel it. But I don't know how to express to like others.
Yeah. Well, then there are two qualities, right? First quality is Krishna says that mind can either be a friend or enemy. So you can ask them, Is your mind your friend? And if they say yes, then maybe they don't need this at this point. So, but the second thing is the first step, powerlessness. We will be able to come closer to Krishna. I mean, I'm studying 7th canto right now. Prahlad Maharaj, super clear. He says austerity, sadhana, your great studying, nothing can bring you closer to Krishna. Only that sense of helplessness. Krishna like Gajendra. No, Krishna, I can't do this anymore. No. Adi Mula, he called out to Krishna. Like Draupadi, all the 5 husbands sitting there, nobody could help her. So that the cry to Krishna, like a baby cries for its mother. Only then can we actually get the attention of Krishna. And that cannot be forced or faked. I have some friends, some connections that have let's say in general, good karma, good parents, stable family, stable financial situation, no such traumas, no abusive situations, no traumatic things, right? It's very difficult to convince them to come for some recovery group meetings or programs because without pain, without the suffering and the struggle, we will not surrender. We keep thinking that I can make it work. I just apply for a different job, I'll get it. I have so many certificates. I'll just get married to someone else. I'm still beautiful. I'm just saying, control, right? But once they get into a situation and they get rejected, their boyfriends leave them. They enter into a helpless state where they are not in control. That's the moment they are ready to cry to the Lord or to ask the Lord help. So usually these are the two qualifications, right? Ask them, is your mind your friend or your enemy? And then if they say, oh, my friend, my mind is, I know how to control my mind. Oh, very nice. Please bless me also to be like that. Hare Krishna. Maybe it's not the time for them to do this healing or recovery. And this IFS or 12 steps may not be for everyone. I believe that it can help everyone, but I don't believe that without this they cannot advance. That's not what we're saying. And then the second thing is that, even the alcoholics, there's a Radhanand Maharaj talk. He speaks to these alcoholics, and he says that you guys, you're different than the rest of the people. Rest of the people have so many options. You only have 2 options. Do recovery or die. There is nothing in between. So similarly, when we are overthinking addicts, we are dependents and codependency, all that, we don't have many options. We only have 2 options. Either we stick to the path of recovery and we humbly surrender and do what is in front, or die. Die out of mistakes, depression, sadness. So sometimes it's a blessing to be put through trauma, to be put through pain and difficulties. So these women never realize that I'm not the controller. So the most effective when they come to you and say, hey, I'm going through this, and say, oh, really? Hey, come, let's read something. I'll show you something interesting, this Draupadi prayer or poetry or whatever. And then they may say, oh my God, this is so nice. Where did you find it? And then you share. By the way, I'm putting that whole thing together. It's almost done. It's coming out really nice with poetry. The 12-step work, it's more organized. I did more works. It's coming out very well. You can use those things and read some parts to some people. And if they like it, you give them the book. But they have to want it. That's what I'm saying. Oh, by the way, I was saying that the rock bottom in the 12 steps, Alcoholic Anonymous, one of the qualifications is you should hit rock bottom. When you realize that nothing else is going to work. That's a qualification.
These people, we know that they are suffering clearly, but they don't want to take it. They are at a very difficult place at rock bottom.
But it's not rock bottom for them yet. You know, I was realizing rock bottom also has a basement. We may see that they're in the rock bottom, they're lying down there with bottles of alcohol or whatever you want to call it. But then we realize that there's a basement also, they may go even more down. Some people really lose everything. They lose their jobs, they lose their money, they lose their children, they lose their partner, they lose everything, they lose their reputation, and then they come to God. You know one thing? Even sadhana, even holding on, I can do the sadhana is actually an obstacle to reach Krishna. You know, to come to that point, like nothing, I have nothing, no control whatsoever. That's real beginning of surrender to Krishna. So I'm actually grateful for many traumas and difficulties and dysfunctional things and abandonment and all these things, anxiousness, because otherwise there was not so much chance to start 12-step group meetings or write things or go into nothing. Many of the Krishna connection started because I was hitting rock bottom. I was feeling that nothing can help me. Not reputation, not friends, not money. Because internally I was just starving. So it can be a good thing.
Yeah, today actually, when you were saying this blessing, I remember today I was listening to Bhakti Gita Swami Maharaj one lecture on mental health, and where he was saying, depression, anxiety, and psychosomatic, and all these type of peoples who are coming to taking up, and also this suicidal trigger people. Krishna strategically does all these because it is one of the very easiest way to say yes to Krishna. Because of that, he tells on all this, and he says that along with this along with this mental health issues, if you're having transcendental knowledge, it is your biggest asset. He told her. Because it's one of the very easiest way to say yes to Krishna and surrender to him. Like that.
So beautiful. Like Aishwarya was saying in the beginning, that skeptical part may say, hey, what is all this IFS thing? Is it really gonna work? And the more we feel desperate for healing or recovery or connection to God, oh, if I can feel connected to Krishna through this, I'm ready for it. Like that. But the goal is Krishna. I mean, for me, the favorite part of the IFS is when each part is eager to pray to Krishna, and each of them have a different prayer. That's all I care about, that as long as they come to Krishna, it's like having children. As long as they come to Krishna, whether through kirtan, whether which instrument you want to play, I don't care. As long as you come to the kirtan, come sit in the kirtan. And it's going to take, and one thing is that this part of me that wants very quick, fast recovery. So I have to keep telling you this IFS thing. The more patient you are, the faster it will be. Like Lakshmita, right? You were saying about some people who are like, no, sadhana is the fastest way, So they want speed maybe, but we don't know how many lifetimes it may take. But we may go on the other route of self-healing, self-care. I want self-acceptance. I want to do it the gentle way. I want to do it the feminine way. It may look like we're going slow, like the tortoise and the rabbit, but then the tortoise makes it, and the rabbit is peacefully sleeping because we take shelter of our strength of doing sadhana. It's risky. Aishwarya, I think you should be in charge of this group thing. You can do the meditation. We can work together also, put some meditation together, a song, and then questions, and then share. I think in the beginning it will take some little inspiration pick up, like it may be more like I may talk more sharing, but then it can become like a meeting where we check in. I'd like to do at least twice a week.
Swatiji, I would like to have some guidance because I
Sure.
haven't done anything.
Sure.
So connect Mataji sometime when you're free.
I'm also thinking to like ask for